how did this part come to you, and what was appealing about it to you?
It was sent to me by my agents here in New York, and I immediately responded to the writing. I thought the writing was just spectacular and the story fascinating, and I thought the character that was written was just, a wonderful character to play. I just, really, really connected to the material, both on the most, immediate level in terms of a role, but also in the big picture. And certainly, the fact that Stephen Lang had already committed to it, and Peter Riegert, both, who are actors I've known for a long time and really, really admire, that was a big part of it as well.
Well, yeah. Well, Peter Riegert is kind of a reunion for you. I mean, you all go back to Animal House, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we do. I mean, he and I, have you seen the film? He and I never meet in the film. Right. Our characters never meet, so it wasn't really, an opportunity to work together again, but it was certainly an opportunity to be in the same film, and the fact that he wanted to do it, certainly made me sit up and pay attention because, I admire him and Steve Lang as well, who's wonderful.
Well, and your character, Margaret, she's this matriarch figure in this family, and that's something you hadn't played that often in your film career. Is kind of the family matriarch, and so I'm kind of curious on what about that. What aspects of that character did you find kind of interesting and new?
Well, I've actually played a lot of mothers, if I stop and think about it. I think what was interesting to me about her is that it was a very, I thought, non-traditional type of role as a parent. She's really a parent on the edge. When we meet her, she's looking at both of her sons as feeling that they might really be in jeopardy, and one certainly is, as we come to see in the course of the film. And I think it's I'm a mother myself of a boy who's of similar age to these two young men, and so I think it's very fascinating to step into that world in which you're imagining or bringing to light in yourself the possibility that something could go so wrong in one's life, where you would lose a son and just be praying for the other one to escape the world
right.
that they've grown up in.
Well, and this is a major kind of a really independent film with a very short schedule and a low budget, and so I'm curious if working at that speed, that scale, what does that do to you as an actor, and is it beneficial or is it just different? And what do you gain out of that kind of run and gun style?
Well, it's very the level of commitment necessary is extreme. Not that a longer schedule and more money doesn't also require an extreme level of commitment, but when you have 17 days, and when you're working with such a little tight time frame, it's absolutely necessary to be fully loaded, ready to go,
right.
to have done all the work that you can do on the role and on the character. I mean, literally, I think we started shooting about 7 or 10 days after I first read the script, and it required me to really just stop everything I was doing, come into New York, lock myself into a room, and work on the character, on the dialogue, on the accent, which was not an accent that I could just pull out of my back pocket. I had to get the wonderful Tim Monick came. He was here in New York working on Wall Street too, and I've known him for years and years, and he was kind enough to kind of find little holes in his schedule where he could come and sit and work with me, and so that I was, ready to go by the time we started to shoot. And it just means that there's no time can be wasted. You've got to be absolutely 100% ready to dive into every scene, when the day comes, because there's not, sometimes on a film with a larger budget and a longer schedule, a scene that we only had maybe 2 hours to shoot, you might have 2 days to shoot.
Right.
So, I find that very beneficial. It just keeps you sharp. It's a kind of a wonderful way to work.
And you've been acting for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious if what you get out of acting and what acting means to you now, and if it's different than when you first started.
Oh, that's an interesting question that I don't know if anybody's ever asked me before. It evolves, really. I mean, I think as a young actor, I was just, ravenous. I read every play I could get my hands on. I was just looking at work. I wanted to always be engaged, either working on the stage or working in film. How that has changed, I guess, over the years is, my life has sort of opened up in a lot of ways. I've raised a child. I've allowed myself interests and development in other areas of my life. I've taken on other kind of artistic endeavors, so that I come back to acting like coming back to the fountain. Coming back to my main source of creativity. I'm now, I direct, and I'm actually casting a play right now, and I have a film I want to direct, and I'm, so I think it's broadened. The base is broadened, and I'm interested in a lot larger aspects of acting. I also teach acting. I'm on the faculty of the theater department at Bard College at Simon's Rock. So it's got a lot of different aspects, I guess, is the main difference. But when I'm actually working, I think that I'm just, I've got 30 years of experience. I've got all this experience built, and it makes certain aspects of the work, I want to say easier, but not necessarily easier, just more familiar. Like I have a nice strong ground from which to come, and then it allows me, I feel, to be, it's like a springboard where I can really step out and be more creative and more spontaneous, because I'm not concerned with the actual workings of being on stage or the workings of being in film.
Right. I got to ask one question about one of my favorite performances of yours, of your earliest work, and I was wondering if you had any memory or anecdote or anything about working on The Wanderers, which I just feel is one of my all-time favorite films.
Yeah, it's a wonderful film. I haven't seen it in a very, very long time, but it's a film I'm extremely fond of too. I had a fantastic time working on it. Richard Price is really one of my favorite writers, and Phil Kaufman, who directed it, also a director who I just adore. John Friedrich, who was in it, as an actor who I worked again with later on A Small Circle of Friends, and that was a friendship that I've stayed in touch with him. Although he's not acting at the moment, but it was really, I guess, for me, the first period. Well, I mean, Animal House was a period film too, I guess. I mean, it was the most, it was the first dramatic role I was playing in a film. Although, a lot of the scenes I'm in are comedic, but some of the scenes with Nina in that film, there was a scene in that film where my character is raped, which Phil, in the end, took out of the story because I guess it was just too. I had a fantastic experience doing the film, and I like the film. Talking about makes me want to see it again because it's probably been a good 15 years or something since I've seen it.
Well, another film that's interesting is that, and you must be kind of overjoyed, and I know a lot of actors are overjoyed finally with the long overdue recognition that he's gotten from the Academy and so forth, is your work with Jeff Bridges and Starman. That must have been kind of a roles for Jeff Bridges that really just was another demonstration of just how versatile he was, even at such even in early on in his career.
Yeah, it was. I think that and Against All Odds were a real turning point in Jeff's career. It really kind of took him in this new direction, where he really started to get some very wonderful roles, and it's been really, really very satisfying to see, him getting the recognition that he's getting, and to just watch his career over the years. And we're actually, I think, possibly going to do something together again, maybe in the next year or so. At least there is something that's being worked on that potentially do.
A nice Starman reunion. That'd be awesome with you two.
It won't be Starman related, unfortunately. Although I get asked a lot, about people want to know where that baby is, and they want that story to continue, and that would be fantastic if we would ever be able to do a sequel to Starman and have the baby as an adult sort of, who's supposed to be a great teacher and, could maybe come back and teach us a thing or two about what we're doing wrong in the world.
Right. And this last question I'll ask, and I'm hesitant to ask it, but my listeners would probably revolt if I didn't. Okay. Have you been approached or heard anything about supposedly all these rumors about Indiana Jones 5?
Well, what I know about it is that they have a story that they like, and they're working on the script, and that's as much as I know. Okay. Who's in it and who's not in it, I have no idea. I don't think I will be approached until they really have a script that the three, Stephen, George, and Harrison, mm-hmm. all three like and agree upon. And who knows how long that will take for that to happen. Right. But I know the feeling, was that it should happen sooner as opposed to later. They don't want to wait, another 15 years or something to do it.